Oh yeah, I haven't put out a video for, I don't know, a little better than 6 months, but I figured I should do a bit of an update. I did a video, I just finished it, and I just started really looking at fish and talking about my fish instead of updating on what's new. This guy isn't new, but he's digging around for snails and always cool to look at. And never hurts to start out a video with a nice clown loach. As far as my big tank, my 90 gallon, only really new thing in here is the Tiger Lotus. It's doing good, and I've got lots of babies that are kicking around in my other tanks. So it's sending off runners, and I am getting a lot more Tiger Lotus. I always got to look at the Congos, but we'll go to my other tanks and see what's new over here. So I'll just do the overview. And we'll check out all the tanks. My 33 isn't new, but these two 13 gallons are new. That one's new there, rimless 13 gallon. Those two are not new. Scaped a little bit different. That guy's old. This guy's scaped different. That guy's scaped different. That guy's old. That guy's kind of scaped different. And then we got an old betta tank, and that's quite a big change in the big tank there. That's some new things going on in that one. This tank here, which contains some of my nano fish, it hasn't really changed at all. Still chilies and ruby tetras in there. Then we go down to here, and this tank worked out. So I wanted to do a continuous setup continuous breeding setup for celestial pearl danios, and I figured that if I planted it densely enough that would work, and it did. So I've got celestial pearl danios continuously breeding in there, and I've taken out the babies of the past that are usually right up in this little area. You can see them in there, and move them into other tanks, feed them up, give them some infusoria, branch shrimp, microworms, and grow them up. And I just basically take them out of the upper part there above the Java moss and put them into a different tank, and they grow. And now I've got so many that I can't do that very much, and some of them are even growing up in the tank here, so they're surviving, which is rare for the parents not to eat them, but it's thick enough in there, so they're living. Move on to my next tank. This tank here hasn't changed at all. It's my old tank. Neons are still going in there. Now, the only thing that's new is my one neon has only got one eye. He's about 8 years old, so you can't knock him for living that long. Even with only one eye, he's doing good. So I guess the loss of an eye is new. And then I've got my goldfish tank that I keep them in the winter, and I've got my green jades in here, and there's actually a lot. They bred in here pretty good, so there's a fair number of them in here. It's probably about, I don't know, around 50 or so that are basically starting to breed now. So hopefully before the goldfish come back in, I'll be able to get a bunch of these guys out of this tank, or another batch of them. They'll be little. I'll move them into another tank and they'll grow up. But so that did really well. Anything that's tough to breed, I usually just, for shrimp, I stick them into a big tank and let them go to town. Nothing new in my yellow shrimp tank, other than they're usually at the front eating, but they're hiding this time, so I won't visit those guys. Nothing new really going on in there. And then what is new is my quarantine tank is full of some cool new residents. I got some red neon rainbow fish, which I've been looking for a while, so I've found some little guys. There's one that's a little bit bigger. I found at a different store. I found 5 little tiny guys at one store, and then one bigger one at another. And I got some rosy loaches in here, which are ridiculously cool. I can't hardly take my eyes off them since I got them yesterday. They're just so neat to watch. I've never They've got a lot of personality, those guys. And I also got some Apistogramma cacatoides in here. They're pretty little, so I don't see them around here. Two, like a trio, 2 females and males, so hopefully I'll get those guys breeding. I've bred them before in our water, and they usually do pretty good. So that's, all those guys are new. And hopefully they'll grow up and give me some babies. So nothing new down here other than I moved my daughter's tank into this room, took out all the glow features, which is a big improvement. I kept some of my old ornaments that I had since I was a little kid. And they're doing good, but nothing too new in there. Just leopard danios. And then this tank here is just full of little celestial pearl danios that are about, I don't know, 3/4 size or so. They're getting there. But yeah, lots of them. There's probably, I'm thinking, between 70 and 90 that have grown up. And here I grew them up in different tanks and then pushed them all into this guy and fed them good once they got big enough. Yeah, I got some tiger lotus going in there too. This tank has changed a little bit. It's set up now as an orange shrimp kind of overflow tank, so I'm taking a bunch of my orange shrimp from other tanks and putting them into here. This guy has not really changed the scape of them, not that it's scaped beyond mass, but it has an old colony of male celestial pearl danios, which I just ended up getting 10, and most of them were males, and the females died off. So I took some of my new celestial pearl danios that I bred, and I'm going to breed those males, which are quite nice, to these ones here and improve my genetic diversity. So I'll have many celestial pearl danios into the future. Then I got another tank here that I just I've been using to house some Anubias I stick on rocks and on wood. It's kind of just an extra tank, but it's set up new. This guy here has been set up for a long time. It's just what holds an antler colony, or part of my antler colonies. There's 3 different tanks with antlers in them. This tank here is my main orange shrimp breeding tank, or one of them, and it has not changed at all. And this is an antler colony of one of 3, and just keeping the diversity going with between them. This is another one. Both these tanks have been set up for a while. This one's set up new here the last few months, or maybe 4 months. I got some celestial pearls growing up in here. They were some of my first ones that I was able to get from the continuous breeding setup. They're doing pretty super awesome in there. And then I've got some red shrimp set up in here. This is a new tank too. We've got some tiger lotus going. It's looking super good. Getting those babies off of there. And I got some red shrimp that I've bred with. I got some nice red ones. Bred them to my old line of red shrimp, and that I've had since about 2005. And yeah, they're looking pretty good. Can't see a lot of them because I haven't fed them. And then we've got another newer tank, another 13-gallon, that houses a whole bunch of orange shrimp, and it's doing good. I've set it up as a breeding tank to kind of improve my line, and it's improving and doing really well. And then I've got my 37-gallon here, and I've got my green neons, which have been in there for a while, but I put some blue tetras in there, and it really makes them come out a lot more. So those blue tetras are really super pretty, and they are not shy at all. So they've got the green neons coming out into the open more often. Also my bleeding heart tetras in there, and a thick-lipped Grammy kicking around, a giant coolie loach. Anyways, there's an update on my fish tanks. Happy fish keeping.